Hello and welcome. This is Greg Aiden with Aiden Leadership. And today I have with me Patty Beach here in Denver, Colorado. And she's also the author of The Art of Alignment. And we're going to talk a lot about alignment today. But first of all, Patty, how are you?
Really great. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. I know we've chatted once before, kind of off camera, and today we get a chance to dig deeper into who you are, what you do. And one of my favorite questions is why you're doing it. So just jump right in and let us know, why did you decide to do what you're doing and how are you doing it?
Well, first of all, my company, Leadership Smarts, has a really clear mission. Our mission is to help leaders build a better world in a better way. And so I'm specific about that. I believe that traditionally speaking, we've had a patriarchal approach to leadership, which has done a lot of good in the world. It's built nations, it's built our government, it's built amazing buildings. So it's done a lot for us, and I am a big fan of it. However, I believe that patriarchal approach should be complemented by a more feminine approach. And so rather than flip from the patriarchy to the matriarchy, I like to say that we need to move toward what I call the versaarchy. And the versaarchy is a versatile approach to leadership, which means that when it makes sense to work in a masculine way, you do that. When it makes sense to work in a feminine way, you do that. The word versa means to turn, like versatile or universal, for example, in Latin. And I really do feel it's a turning. Like sometimes I need to be really like a strict parent, or I need to be firm, and other times I need to be nurturing. So that shift from one side to the other is what I'm looking for in leadership. And I like to consider myself a leadership evolutionist, really moving leadership in that direction. And a key aspect of that is inclusion. How do we include more people? How do we help every voice matter and bring people together to solve problems?
Oh, you had me with Leadership Smarts, and part of that, what I heard is you want leaders to be smarter, you want leaders to be intelligent, and dig deeper on the verses. I heard you say when we need to be masculine, we need to be feminine. I also heard in there, without you saying it, we need to be flexible. And
yeah, this is what versatility is, what I call in leadership, combining the masculine and feminine energy and strengths according to what's needed in the moment. But all of us being aware that masculine and feminine energy are opposite energies and complementary energies, and they're equally valid and important, is what allows a leader to be strong when they need to be strong and to be soft when they need to be soft. And so I think in leadership, that combination is really important. And that is what I feel is my mission, and actually the whole path I've been through in life has set me up to bring this teaching to the world. And in my book, The Art of Alignment, I have 3 principles, 4 steps, and 5 C's that help any leader bring any group into agreement so that they can move forward together. And one of the principles is called the versatility principle. And it basically is the whole reason why I wrote the book, which is to drive this versatility into leadership in a really powerful way.
Before we get into the book, Patty, I'm going to guess here that you had some leadership experience from men and women in your life. And is that part of where you're coming from with your experiences? And if so, share those with us.
Yeah, I feel like my whole life, I've always been in sort of the middle of drastic differences. So for example, I was raised the 5th of 6 girls in a family. So I had all these girls in my family. I lived in a very feminine household. We lived by feminine rules, even though I didn't know that's what they were, because when you're born in a family like that, you just think that's how the world is. Sure. But I was also a tomboy, and I wanted to get my dad's attention. So I moved into the masculine world, and I followed his footsteps and entered into oil and gas. And I worked as a geoscientist for 15 years in the energy industry. So I got to see the opposite side of the coin, the very masculine world of oil and gas, where you have STEM professionals. And as a geoscientist and a woman, a geoscientist back in the 1980s, I was like one woman out of 40 men. That ratio was usually where I was. And so I had to learn those masculine rules and see the contrast between the feminine rules and the masculine rules were right there in my face. I went back to grad school and I studied organizational development, and I wrote my master's thesis on understanding masculine and feminine energy in organizations. So we're learning, I feel like there's a turning of the tide right now as we speak, that we're learning that masculine strength can only take us so far.
Amen.
And in the end, we need to combine competition with collaboration in order for it to be the strongest that we possibly can be.
Yeah, masculine being competitive or not, I would say I agree with you wholeheartedly. Before I jump into that, I wanted to ask you one further question. So I'm hearing that it's not masculine versus feminine, it's masculine and feminine. And not only can a man be masculine and feminine, meaning strong and nurturing, obviously a woman can be strong and nurturing as well. Talk to me about some of the organizations you've worked with and didn't even know what masculine and feminine energy were, and how were you able to bring in your expertise and actually turn this team, this department, or in some cases, an entire organization around?
Yeah, with some organizations, I have been explicit talking about masculine and feminine energy. I've actually come in and done workshops on masculine and feminine energy. And I've done that in very masculine environments. For example, I did it in oil and gas when I was working at BP. I did it there. I've done it for the Department of Energy. I've done it for hospitals. I've done it with linemen for that worked in a utility company, so I
Right.
brought it to organizations that you would think would be a little bit like, whoa, what are you talking about? That's a little too bold or too, airy fairy or whatever. And I
Mhm.
explained to them, there's a difference between an archetype and a stereotype. We're talking about this archetypal energy. Generally speaking, when you have an organization that is either the majority men or the majority women, this is a very helpful construct for them to see how they come from an unconsciously masculine or an unconsciously feminine frame of mind, and how can they bring that complementary energy to become more effective. This is why I wrote The Art of Alignment, is because in the past I've taught those classes and it's been a little esoteric. People don't know what to do with it later.
Sure.
Right. With the Art of Alignment, I've taken these 3 principles, 4 steps, and 5 C's, and the versatility, the masculine and feminine energy is embedded in the process. So if you learn the process, then you're automatically balancing it out. So, for example, another principle of alignment is called the Shuva Principle. Shuva is an acronym, and it stands for see, hear, understand, value, and appreciate. So a lot of times in the workplace, we talk about things like empathy, understanding, listening, and this can be kind of ephemeral and difficult to get to. But when you have a formula like Shuva, then you have
Mhm.
5 actionable verbs. And when you work through them in order, if I see you and really look at you and think about how you're showing up and what your facial expressions mean and what your strengths are and what your challenges are, and I hear you, I give you time to speak, and I understand you, I'm really listening for what you mean, and I value you, I let what you share inform my judgment, and I appreciate you. I send back to you what a sign that it was worthwhile for me. What you see is that formula, the Shuva formula, gets leaders into deeper empathy, deeper understanding, deeper value from the people that they're interacting with. And it's literally like S plus H plus U plus V plus A. That's a very
Right.
masculine way of thinking about it. But when you
Mhm.
practice Shuva, you go all the way, the masculine feminine is just all there in it. And what you see is it becomes a superpower. Like there is nothing that people love more than to work for a leader that will Shuva them. It's
Right.
absolutely the most compelling leader you can work with is a Shuva leader.
It has everything to do with what you just said Shuva stands for. And I believe employees want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be understood. They certainly want to know that their work matters, valued, and who doesn't want to be appreciated? So not only does it make the leaders stronger, whether you're masculine or feminine energy, but it has an extreme impact on the employees.
Right.
And again, I would ask you as a leader, why else are you here? As a parent, why else are you here? It's not about you. It's about your employees and your children.
But
Tell
I want to
us, tell
add,
us.
I want to say that it is also about you, because when I Shuva you, I get so much more out of the relationship. Shuva becomes the path to alignment, which allows us to co-create together. So
Mhm.
if I understand you, if I see what you have to offer, if I see what your challenges are, et cetera, then it's so much easier for me to get value out of the interaction with you. So it's not just to give it to you, it's to give it to you and to receive it. And when we do this, we reciprocate. It's not like we're taking turns, like I give you Shuva, now you give me Shuva. As we Shuva each other, we get in this Shuva rich environment. We're in a Shuva team. It just becomes automatic. Co-creation becomes automatic because something emerges from the two of us that we didn't have before. So it's an
Well,
extremely powerful construct, I think,
sure it
that
is. No
when you get
doubt.
into it. Yeah.
And I've always been a big fan of collaboration over competition. In my opinion, there's not a lot of need to compete as a leader. There's a significant amount of interest and desire to collaborate as a leader. So tell us about your C's and where did you come up with them and how are they applied in your book?
Yeah, so the 5 C's are a formula to gather feedback. So the 5 C's actually come in the middle of the 4 steps. So basically, the way it starts is with step 1, which is to propose. So somebody makes a proposal of an idea. And then the next step is probe. And this is where the 5 C's come in. So the 5 C's is how you gather feedback. So you're going from divergent thinking, like there's your idea, there's my reaction to your idea, into convergent thinking. What's our idea as a result of your idea showing up? We start with clarifications. First of all, did I understand your proposal? Then we go to compliments. It's looking for the good in your proposal, what I like about it, and giving that to you. And then we go into concerns. What are some of the things that are risk factors that need to be considered in your proposal? Is there missing information? Is there something we need to be taking into account? Then we go into suggested changes. The changes come based on the concerns. These concerns can possibly be resolved by changes, or maybe there's just another idea that we can add to your idea. And then we go to commitment, the level of how I feel about proceeding with your proposal. So what we see sometimes is people nod their heads like, okay, I heard it. And people take that as yes, but it's not truly commitment. So can we actually leave with a clarifications, compliments, concerns, changes, and commitment so clear that we know where we stand? How aligned are we? We can't be aligned if I don't understand it. We can't be aligned if I don't like anything about it, right? All of those things. So when you know all of those factors, now we have all the information we need to do the 3rd step of the 4 steps, which is to repropose. Let's take all of those ideas that showed up with the 5 C's and use it to improve on the original proposal. And then we go to close once we've reached the level of commitment that we need to feel like it's worth proceeding.
Share with me some experiences you've had with some of your organizations or your clients working with the 5 C's, and what has some of their feedback been on the conversation that is always circulating around your 5 C's?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the 5 C's is such a nice structure because it's easy to remember. Like once you teach it, people just get it and they use it. And what I've heard from people who've used the 4 steps and the 5 C's is that when they use it, they move forward. When they stop using it, they waste a lot of time. It's been really interesting for me to observe, for example, a lot of teams, historically speaking, somebody makes a proposal and they just start ripping into it, giving constructive feedback or maybe critical feedback, et cetera. And they feel like, well, that's how we improve it, right? And they miss the things like the compliments and the clarifications, and they don't understand they're changing something they didn't even understand in the first place. The other thing is they don't understand how they've compromised the psychological safety of the team. So when you know that every single proposal is going to be complimented, people are much more likely to bring proposals forward, knowing that no matter what I bring, whether it's a good or a bad proposal, I'm going to get some compliments for having the courage to bring it forward.
Yeah.
So,
and the whole umbrella here is Shuva as well, as I hear, is you're being Shuva, or you're allowing Shuva to be part of your relationship. Then the 5 C's, in my opinion, just based on what I'm listening to, would be a lot easier to implement because they become part of the fabric of our relationship.
exactly.
And I loved what you said just a bit ago. I know this is coming up. I know they're going to ask me, is there anything I want to challenge or change? And again, I know it's a process, but
What are my ideas? What are my suggested changes? Half the time people sit there and think nobody cares about my ideas. Why would I bring them forward? Or I'm afraid if I bring an idea forward that it'll be wrong. There's all of this stuff that's going on the inside, especially if you don't have a Shuva environment. If you have a Shuva environment, then you don't even need the 5 C's. It just kind of happens more automatically, but it definitely helps. We got a lot of people in the room.
Those of you out there listening, if you're looking for a way to save time, money, and energy, the book is The Art of Alignment. It's going to share with you not only how to relate with a more intentional way, which is to see, hear, understand, value, and appreciate each other. And think about adopting that at home. Oh my God. Spouses, if you're listening, how would you like to be seen, heard, and appreciated, et cetera? And children, how would you like them to grow up that knowing that their parents actually see, hear, value, and understand them? And I mean, it sounds corny to some out there listening, I'm sure, but think about the principles that our children would be growing up with. And dare I say, would our younger leaders be better leaders if they had Shuva in their own relationships? I
Yeah, I'll
just,
have to give you an example. I have Shuva was taught to a physician, actually my physician, not by me, but by someone else who'd gone to a workshop and they taught him Shuva. And one of the persons that I trained around it. And the first time I met him, he said, I want you to know Shuva has changed my life. And I said, oh, really? How has it changed your life? He said, well, first of all, I recognized that I wasn't giving the quality attention I really needed to give to myself, to my beloved, to my children, et cetera. And, I'm really kind of getting what that means. But I have find that when I Shuva my patients, I give them better diagnosis. I feel more confident in what I see in them. And so just imagine, your kid goes to a school and they're being Shuvaed by their teacher. What that would mean to them, that that teacher really sees them, hears them, understands them, values and appreciates them,
absolutely.
and that would just change schools altogether. So there's so many places where this acronym, like I said, it kind of sounds trite, is actually super deep. There's so much you get. And the order is so interesting. So often I see that people, will say things like, I see you and I hear you, but that doesn't mean that they understood you or that they valued you, that they let what you shared change them.
Yeah.
Or that they've given you appreciation, so you need the uva in Shuva, right, for it to really make a difference. But when you learn how to practice it and you really examine whether you're doing all of those things, you'll find that if you do it, you're going to learn so much more, feel so much better, be more compelling. It's truly amazing how it can transform an individual, a team, an organization.
I've shared your 11-minute executive summary with several already and recommended your book to several. It's a great read. You're a fantastic person for having read it. Authored it. But
Thanks.
regardless of what you did, you can sense your organizational structure background. And that's what organizations are looking for, structure. But what I'm trying to get is beyond the structure, how are you showing up for yourself and others? How are you showing up for other people? And Shuva would certainly be not only a great start, but a great way to have much more valuable relationships. And Patty Beach, thank you very much for making time for us today and appreciate you being a guest on our show. Is there any last parting comments you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I would like to just say, in this new year, Shuva yourself and Shuva your life, Shuva your food. Like really think about what would it mean to give more life and more richness to your world if you just put that level of time and attention on the things that matter to you. So hopefully everybody will take that into 2022 and find a lot of value from it.
Beautiful. Well said. And again, Patty Beach, thank you for being with us, the author of The Art of Alignment. Appreciate everyone out there tuning in. Again, this is Greg Aiden with Aiden Leadership. Go out, be kind, be considerate, and consider being a Shuva for someone else. Have fun with the acronym. Again, it's seen, heard, understand, value, and appreciate. So go out and Shuva yourself.
A Shuva day keeps the conflict away.
Love it. Well, it replaces an apple, and that's and who knows what the acronym for Apple is these days. But again, thank you, Patty Beach. And for all you listening out there, God bless. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks.